Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we are unpacking a deeply personal, honestly kind of mind-blowing mystical encounter that completely flips the script on how we view life struggles. We usually think of personal growth and spiritual development as this incredibly heavy, serious, grueling climb up a ridiculously steep mountain. But what if it's actually just a playground? Today, we're looking at the story of an entity known as Zoran, whose totally unorthodox teachings turn all our traditional ideas of enlightenment completely upside down. Okay, let me just hit you with this right out of the gate. When you go to the bathroom, you don't inspect your stools. So why do people inspect their suffering? I mean, it's bizarre, it's hilarious, and honestly, it is profoundly true. We spend so much of our time analyzing our pain, dissecting every little trauma, agonizing over our struggles, and treating the whole shebang with the utmost seriousness. But Zoran challenges this head on. He's basically asking us to drop the microscope. Throughout this explainer, we're going to see exactly how putting down that heavy analytical burden might literally be the key to actual liberation. Now, before we get into the whole stuff to toy thing, we kind of need to establish exactly who or what Zoran is described as in our source material. See, Zoran was not just some lecturer or your run-of-the-mill guru. He is described as the actual personification of the Logos. And what's wild here is the sheer scale of that concept. In Greek tradition, the Logos is the divine ordering principle. In the Bible, it's the word that was with God and was God. We are talking about the fundamental vibration behind literally all creation. This is immense, cosmic authority, which, as you'll see, makes his teaching methods incredibly surprising. So picture this, stark contrast. Usually, the traditional approach to enlightenment involves super serious lectures, dense, heavy philosophy, and this ingrained idea that spiritual growth absolutely requires intense struggle. But Zoran's approach? He brings stuffed toys, interactive games, and explosive, belly-aching laughter. How on earth does a being representing the divine ordering principle teach the secrets of the universe? Well, by handing out children's toys and making you laugh until you literally cry. It's this brilliant juxtaposition that just completely disarms you. Let's set the scene. It's a hall in Phoenix, Arizona. Our narrator arrives a bit late, and as they walk in, they hear this massive booming voice over the loudspeaker. It has this incredible cosmic resonance, sounding exactly like a very famous recording of another spiritual entity known as Mafu. So the narrator is understandably confused, thinking, why are they playing a tape at a live event? But as they sit down, the realization hits them. There is no tape. It is actually Zoran channeling live right there in the room through a human vessel named Mukara. It was a living, breathing presence just filling the entire space. Section 1, Toys and Life Force. Let's get into it. Imagine you're sitting there in that audience. Suddenly, Zoran pulls you right up out of the crowd. He hands you this simple, bright orange ball, literally a kid's toy, and he asks you this deceptively simple question. What does this toy mean to you? He was actually going around the room doing this with different people, turning the whole space into this playful, modern-day Socratic dialogue. It really forces you to look past the totally mundane and find the profound hiding in the playfulness. So when it was our narrator's turn, they held this little orange ball and delivered this incredibly deep, cosmic answer. They explained that orange represents collagen, the actual substance that ties our biological cells together. Without it, the physical body would literally just fall apart. So they reasoned this little plastic ball actually represents the ultimate life force that holds the entire universe together. Pretty amazing interpretation of a simple toy, right? And how exactly does the personification of the divine word respond to this grand, sweeping cosmic theory? He blinks, he laughs, and gives this incredibly punchy, understated, good answer. He didn't launch into some huge, complicated lecture. That simple, playful little nod was the whole thing. The source material notes that this specific moment sealed something massive between them. It was this instant spark of recognition. The narrator just knew, right then and there, that they were old friends reuniting across time and space. Moving on to Section 2, the planet nucleus. This is where the backstory gets wild. The very next day, they arranged a private meeting. And get this, there were exactly 3 people in that room. Just the narrator, Zoran channeling through Makara, and one other person. But according to the source, people standing outside the room swore it sounded like a packed auditorium was in there. The sheer volume of the joy and the laughter was so intense that Zoran actually had to soften his tone. He was genuinely worried that if he laughed any harder, the energetic force would physically damage his human channel's body.
I mean, wow.
Once they finally stopped laughing long enough to breathe, the deep teaching began. Zoran dropped this unbelievable backstory. He told the narrator that they had actually been his student ages ago on a planet called Nucleus. And Nucleus wasn't just some random rock in space. It was an ancient mystery school. Their curriculum? Oh, just learning to split open the atom. But here is the kicker. They didn't do it with particle colliders or giant machines. They did it using strictly the power of human consciousness. Zoran explained that the narrator and the channel, Makara, were literally classmates there. Talk about a mind-bending expansion of reality. It reframes their whole current life as just a continuation of this incredibly ancient education. Which brings us to Section 3, a prophecy fulfilled. Because Zoran was definitely not just about ancient history. His wisdom was also incredibly, deeply personal. During their time hanging out, Zoran casually asks the narrator what they thought about women, and then just drops this ultra-precise prophecy. Someone special is coming. Very soon, you will meet the woman of your dreams. Now look at this exact timeline. That very night, the narrator has this extremely vivid dream about a woman named Barbara, and a voice tells them to get to know her. Fast forward exactly 1 month later. The narrator is staying at a friend's house, and a woman just walks right into the room. Her name? Barbara. The narrator recognized her instantly. It's just a stunning sequence of events that absolutely proves how destiny and guided love really operate within this framework. All right, Section 4, the frequency of joy. This is the absolute core of the message. So what are the actual mechanics behind all of Zoran's unorthodox methods? Why the stuffed toys? Why the nonstop jokes and the roaring laughter? Because, as it turns out, laughter is a technology. Zoran taught that laughter creates a very specific vibrational frequency. And this frequency completely bypasses our critical, defensive, everyday minds and sinks straight into the subconscious. Think about it. When you're super serious, your guard is totally up. But when you are cracking up, your walls are down. And these profound, universal truths can take root instantly. Playfulness isn't just a fun little break. It is a vastly superior, highly efficient learning tool. And this perfectly sums up the ultimate takeaways from our source material today. Let's call it the Ledger of Zoran. First, joy is an actual, tunable frequency. Laughter is quite literal medicine for your spirit. Consciousness, at its absolute highest level, is inherently playful, not stern and serious. Destiny is entirely real, and it is unfolding right now. And perhaps the absolute hardest one for most of us to accept, life is not meant to be a struggle. It really isn't. It's not supposed to be this endless battle. We're allowed, no, actually scratch that, we are encouraged to approach our lives with a genuine sense of lightness and fun. As they wrapped up their time together, Zoran left the narrator with this final, beautiful whisper. Traveler, laughter is the key. Joy is the doorway. Play is the path. You remembered me because you remembered yourself. It is just such a deeply mystical reassurance. Recognizing this cosmic joy isn't about cramming your brain with something entirely new. It's simply about remembering a fundamental truth about who you really are, underneath all those heavy, serious layers we've piled on top of ourselves over the years. Which brings us to our final thought for today. Are you still inspecting your suffering, or are you finally ready to tune in to the frequency of joy? We make this choice every single day. We can either pick up the heavy microscope and obsessively analyze every little pain and struggle, or we can choose to pick up the orange ball, embrace the absolute playfulness of consciousness, and quite literally laugh our way to a deeper understanding. The doorway is standing right there. The choice is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I truly hope you take a little bit of that joy out into the world with you today. Catch you next time.